Hello everyone, welcome back. So Mr. Ricarte here to walk you through a short video lesson that will help you with today's work. So recently we've been working on a lot of coordinate geometry, all right? We've determined how to find the slope of a line based off the graph of the line, and we've also determined the slope of a line based off of two given points without a graph. We've also been able to graph a line based off of the equation that is given to us. Now today we're going to use all those skills, and we are also going to work backwards from the previous work that you guys did, and we are going to be writing the equations of lines in slope-intercept form. In all of these problems that you'll all be working on, you will be given a graph and the line will be on the graph. So I'm going to show you how to identify the parts that you need in order to write the slope-intercept form of the line. Now, I keep on throwing around the word slope-intercept form. That, if we remember correctly, is the equation y equals mx plus b. That is one of the two forms of the equation of line. We're only going to focus on this one for now. Y equals mx plus b. As you notice, two letters are highlighted. M is highlighted green and B is highlighted red. The M is one of our two important pieces of information that we need to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. Now, if we think about slope, we remember, once we think back into that memory storage that we have, that slope stands for the rise over the run between any 2 points on the line. Now, what does it mean for the rise over the run? Well, between any 2 points, we are going to determine how much up or down between those 2 points and how much left or right between those 2 points. Okay? So we first need to know what our slope is. That's our m. Remember, the m is going to be the number in front of the x. That will always be your slope in the slope-intercept form. Second, we need our b, and that is our y-intercept. So the b is the y value at which the line crosses the y-axis. And if we remember correctly, the y-axis is the vertical axis in our graph. So up or down. Okay. Now, how do we go about using these two pieces of information to graph our line? Well, let me show you. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. The first step, if we're given a graph, like we will be seeing in all these problems, is that we're going to pick any 2 points on the line and we're going to determine the slope, remember our m, by calculating the rise and the run between those 2 points. Now, does it matter which 2 points on the line? No, just pick any 2. Here's a little quick reminder. Remember the rise, how much up or down? Up will be our positive number and down will be negative. So we have to be very careful with that. Same thing for the run. Run means how much left or right. If we're moving to the right, that means our number is positive. If we're moving to the left, that means our number is negative. Very, very important to keep that in mind. So let's look at this example I have on the left right now. Okay, I see my graph and I see my blue line. I'm going to figure out how to write the equation of this line. The first step tells us to pick any 2 points on this blue line. So if you notice, there are many points given here. I'm going to pick any 2. So I'm going to pick these 2 right here. Let's see if I can add some color into this. I'm going to pick this point and this point. Okay? Now let's determine my slope. So first I want to know the rise. So I'm going to start at this one. And I notice to get to that other point, I'm going to move down 1. Okay, I moved down 1 point. Whoa, I have no idea what's going on there. Oh, there we go. All right. Then I have to determine my run. So how much left or right from there? So I first went down 1. And then to get to that second point, I move 1, 2 to the right. Okay, so I went down 1. That means a negative 1 over 2 to the right, which is a positive 2. Now, to make this easier on yourselves, what you guys can do is notice you have to give your answer as an equation. Remember, an equation means that you need an equal sign there. So all of these answers are going to start off as y equals, because that's part of the slope-intercept form. We already just figured out our m, our slope. I moved down 1 over 2 to the right, so that means -1, because down 1, over 2 to the right, +2. So my slope is -1/2. And remember, the slope always has the x right next to it. So far I have y equals -1/2 x. Now I move on to my next step. I'm going to look for the y value at which the line crosses the y-axis to find, b, the y-intercept, right? Remember, pay close attention to the sign. So going back to my graph, I'm going to look along the y-axis. Remember, that's the vertical axis. And I see that my blue line crosses right here at -4. So my y-intercept, my b, is -4. If I check my slope-intercept form equation, y equals mx plus b, I know that means I'm doing plus -4. But we don't want that. Plus -4 is the same as saying -4. Okay? So I filled in, as my third step tells me, to plug in the values of my slope and my y-intercept into y equals mx plus b. So once I filled those in, my m was -1/2, my y was -4. I end up with y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Okay? Let me do one more example to show you guys. So remember, always hit submit, click yes, and then we can do another problem. So here we're going to write the equation of the line fully simplified. Okay, fully simplified. That means if you have to reduce a fraction, reduce it. All right. So again, I'm going to pick any 2 points on this graph. I'm going to choose any 2. So just to show you how to fully simplify, let's say I chose this point here. Let me choose a different color. This point here and this point here. Okay, so I'm skipping 2 points for now. You don't have to do this, just as an example. So I'm going to identify my slope. Okay, so first I'm just going to start off with, I'm going to write this here, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to be filling in this equation as I move along. So going between those 2 points, all right, I see that from here, actually no, it was this one. From here, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 down. That's a -3 at the top, and 1, 2, 3 to the right. And to the right is positive. So 3 down, -3, over 3 to the right, +3. So I'm going to go over to my m. I'm going to take it out of here, and I'm going to write 3 over 3. But remember, I went down, so this is a -3. Now, negative over positive. That's going to give me a negative overall, which means my fraction is going to be negative. If you leave your answer like this, Delta Math is going to think it's wrong. Make sure that if your fraction is overall negative, so negative over positive or positive over negative, the negative sign has to be at the very front. Be very careful. I know there was quite a confusion before about that. Just be very careful about that. Now, we want to see if we can reduce our fraction completely. So, can I reduce 3 over 3? Yes. Right? 3 goes into 3 one time each. So 3 divided by 3 ends up just simply being 1. So my slope is -1. So far I have y equals -1x plus b. I now need to figure out what my b is. Again, the b is the part of the line where it intersects the y-axis, the vertical axis. So I follow along, and I see it's at -6. That means my b is -6. -6. Again, I don't like the plus -6. That's the same thing as just saying -6, so I can get rid of that. And look here. Once I plugged in my values, I have my equation. Y equals mx plus b. In this case, y equals -1x minus 6. Okay, so pay close attention to your signs. Pay close attention to how you write your answer. Okay, and make sure you've identified your slope and your y-intercept. Otherwise, go ahead, guys. You guys got this. Anything, ask us questions. All right, we're here to help you.